Welcome back to In the Spotlight. Picking up on a very serious note again, Kathleen, we have audio of the American mother who is trapped again in Afghanistan. Everybody needs to hear this, and we're going to bring it to you right now.
I would like our president to make the process of evacuation faster of people like me, our fellow citizens, and people who helped our troops on the ground. And we are devastated. We're scared for our lives. Every moment that a car passes by, I feel that they're going to pull in and execute us. I don't know if I'm going to see my children again. So, please, Mr. President, please evacuate us. We need help. Given up on the hope of going to the airport because it's not possible to make it through all those people. People are getting shot left and right. The tear gas is being released on people. I made an attempt to go inside the airport twice or three times. Children are dying. It's very scary. The traffic starts miles away from the airport, and then when there are several gates to the airport. We were told to go to the east gate. It's probably about 2-3 miles with thousands of people put together like little matchsticks with no space between them. I had to assist this woman whose husband was shot. She had a child in her arm, and I was just holding this little child, and she was screaming. And the husband was on the ground. I don't know what documents they had. And I was trying to help them, but all I could do was just hold their child. The fear in that little baby's eyes, I could never forget his face. I can't forget those little eyes staring at his mom. And his head lying on the ground all bloody. And this woman screaming. Michael, I want to see my kids again. It's so devastating that I don't even know how to explain it. It's a nightmare. I want to wake up. I want to wake up from this nightmare.
So that audio was received by Representative Carol Miller. She's a West Virginia representative, and she put out this audio so people knew. She also confirmed that this woman's status as an American citizen. This is according to a Fox News report. And she helped connect Fox News with her to raise awareness of the severe threat to Americans and Afghan allies trapped behind the Taliban lines. I'm reading from the Fox News report right now. These are not my words. The family also said they fear that the Taliban could impose an internet blackout, effectively shutting down all communication apps and hiding extremist activities from the rest of the world. The report also remarked that that this woman is in hiding with her aunt, a former Afghan parliament member, her uncle, as well as undisclosed number of contractors and children. Her brother is a former military translator and contractor who is now in the UK. And in that, her brother said that at least 2 of his colleagues have been killed by Taliban fighters in the past 2 days. Yep. And it says sources told Fox News earlier this week that 3 captured Afghan National Army commanders were hanged by the Taliban in Kabul as the militants were banging on doors seeking out people who had worked with the U.S. and coalition forces. Now, this woman's husband and her children are safely in Virginia. But she is not. She cannot.
Oh my God.
It's miles to the airport. There's no safe passage. Apparently, she tried multiple times to get there, to no avail.
During Friday's press briefing, Joe Biden was asked about the issue of Americans stranded in Kabul and whether he would authorize the military to go in and go out and rescue any of them. This is what he said. He said, "We have no indication that they haven't been able to get in Kabul through the airport. We've made an agreement with the Taliban. Thus far, they've allowed them to go through. It's in their interest for them to go through. So we know of no circumstance where American citizens are carrying an American passport are trying to get through to the airport, but we'll do whatever needs to be done." He is so amazingly out of touch with what's actually happening, with reality. And if you missed it, over the weekend, for a stretch of Friday and Saturday, one of the email accounts that the U.S. State Department uses to process a type of asylum visas for Afghans filled up, and the messages started bouncing back. So people are desperate to get out of there. American citizens and Afghan our Afghan allies who are now being hunted down by the Taliban. They're just desperate to get out of there. And he seems to go, well, we know of no problem. None of Joe Biden's actions since Afghanistan started deteriorating indicates stability or his administration's confidence in his ability to lead or even comment on the situation.
Well, we're going to be talking about Americans' confidence in Biden in our next segment, but let's put it this way. They have no confidence in them, and the Democrats have a problem with this. And the world is watching and seeing this incompetence unfold at the same time where Biden is making these misstatements about them allowing he has completely weakened America. But at the same time that he has made these misstatements about Americans have safe passage to the airport, which they obviously don't.
No,
after what we just heard, we have our British and French allies actually going out beyond the walls of the Kabul airport and going out and gathering up their nationals, their citizens, their Afghani partners themselves, and extricating them from the situation. We're not doing the same.
No.
We're not doing the same. And so American military power, I mean, let's just think back here, just a little bit of a history lesson, and you'll hear this in my reveille too.
Yeah.
But in 1948 and 49, when after we had divided up Germany into the 4 sectors, the Allies had Soviet, French, British, American. We also divided up Berlin. Berlin sat as an island among the Soviet sector. We divided up Berlin. At one point, the relationship got turned hostile.
Yeah.
And what did we do? We ended up instituting the Berlin airlift for nearly a year to supply with humanitarian needs the Berliners at that point. And at one point during that year, we had an airplane landing every 45 seconds to make sure that the West Berliners were supplied adequately to meet their health needs. And we can't do this in Afghanistan 70 years hence
because we had a competent president then.
That's right, because leadership matters.
And speaking of leadership, after the president's speech, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, after he made those comments, told members of Congress that she believed things were going well in Afghanistan and that the stranded should just get to the airport. She said, Congresswoman Kat Kamek tweeted out, just wrapped a call with Sec Austin, Sec Blinken, and Jen Milley for the second time on Afghanistan. During the Q&A with members, Speaker Pelosi just said, everything sounds like it's in a good place. Everyone just needs to get to the airport. Unbelievable.
It's unbelievable because those are the same 3 who put us in this situation.
Yes.
These are the same three that
You can't, like,
did not
spin your way out of this.
No, but General Milley's trying to. He's trying to say that Biden never gave him enough troop strings to keep Bagram Air Force Base, which is 3 times the size of Kabul, open, and is far more secure in terms of taking people out of the country than Kabul, which is in the middle of that capital.
This is what you get when you prioritize having the most diverse
but you can't
cabinet
trust any of this
in history. The most diverse cabinet in history.
Well, that was the priority.
Complaining. Yeah.
That's the priority.
Yeah.
This is what happens
the
when
most
you go woke.
competent?
When you
How
go
about the
when you
best
go woke
people?
instead of look for competency. This is exactly. And actually, Trump had a rally this weekend.
Yeah.
He basically say this: when you go woke, everything turns to S. That's basically what he said.
Yeah.
Well, he's not wrong about that in
No.
this case, because their focus has been on like January 6th and insurrection.
Yeah.
Instead of planning for this.
Well, right.
It's
well,
a
and
debacle.
I mean, speaking of woke, like in Portland, Antifa crashed into a rally and threw like homemade hand grenades. I mean, so speaking of, he's not wrong that this woke ideology is really harmful, and you're just seeing destruction in our states and on a much smaller scale. But on the world stage, we are just collapsing.
Yep, the woke ideology is responsible also for the crime surge in Chicago, as they
Sure is.
institute cash bail and they let gun felons out to reoffend. So this is the state of the affairs when you put the Democrats in charge. And I'm sorry, but this is right on the Democrats' doorstep. They are responsible for this debacle. 100%.
100%.
Do not let them get away with this.
And I'm just praying for that poor woman and her family.
So sad.
Yeah.
It's like literally reading what you hope is fiction.
You almost can't believe that it could happen in 2021, but of course it can. I mean,
And it does.
It's just awful.
So we will pray for her safety as we pray for the safety of the Afghani people. Next segment up, more on this, more on Biden's competency. Apparently, most of America understands that he isn't.
Pretty clear.